I put my faith out there. I'm Christ first in everything. Jesus is the head of our family, the head of my companies, the head of my businesses. I put Christ first in everything I do. And I think I made reference to that video that I did, putting a Bible into my foundation, and the world lost their mind. And I think we had at one time 78 million views, and Facebook said it was in our top 0.01% of most viewed videos in the history of Facebook or Reels. And I wasn't that guy. It was a 24-second clip. And I just put my faith out there. And a lot of times over the years, especially early on, I'd have my contemporaries reach out and say, Matt, you probably shouldn't do that. You're going to push away people. I never cared. Like, this is who I am. I love Jesus. And I can tell you in 2024, 25, 26, man, I see these young men and women just on fire for Jesus. I see these universities having all week or all weekend, revivals that are spontaneous. Christ is moving in our cities, and it's just so refreshing. Today, it's easier for me to talk about Jesus, but early on, you're talking 2008, 2009, 2010, starting a marketing firm in Los Angeles and talking about Jesus. It wasn't too popular, but it's changed quite a bit. But I said, this is who I am. I love Jesus. We can have a great relationship. And if you don't love Jesus, and if you think I'm a wackadoodle, then I still love you. I'll pray for you, but we don't have to work together.
This episode is brought to you by 10X Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10X Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker. They only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no-brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork, it's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm on with Matt Benton, who is just an industry veteran, marketing guru, and is an OG in the home services and blue collar space. Matt, man, I've been following your journey, and I'm just a huge fan. Will you tell us a little bit about more what you're up to?
Yeah, recently I own real-time marketing, and we've been in that space for quite some time. We've helped thousands of contractors over the years. We do everything in-house. So just kind of on the cutting edge of all things digital marketing. And from that, we built Unify 360, which is a software for contractors as well. Maybe kind of competes in that podium space, if you will, bird eye. And we're fully AI, and we also have AI recently just announced that was installed inside Google Local Service Ads. So we've kind of been on a roll lately and just helping our clients navigate this crazy world of AI. As you know, every 30 to 60 days, it's completely changes and everything's brand new all over again. So it's been a great journey nonetheless.
This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team. What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by ExitWise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what ExitWise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it. How did you first get into working with contractors in the home service space? I mean, you've been at it for a while.
Yeah.
What was it like? One of your initial clients, and you just fell in love with the space, or how did that all begin?
Well, I'll try to keep this quick. They say there's riches in the niches, right? So back in 2010, I had a general marketing firm, and then I happened upon one of my clients was a plumber, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And back in the day, 2010, you had to track your clients down to get them to pay because I didn't really know what SEO was. So I would call this guy, and I was in Marina Del Rey, and I called him. He goes, "Hey, I'm in Sherman Oaks," which, if you know anything about, the geography of LA, that could be quite a drive. So I said, "Hey, I'm gonna come meet you and pick up a check." And I would drive to Sherman Oaks, and sure enough, he's not there. And I'd call him and I'd say, "Hey, man, I want to pick up a check, and we'll keep your marketing going." He goes, "Well, I'm in Pasadena now." So I ended up chasing this guy down. And when I finally found him, I saw this weird, bizarre configuration. And it was this round drum, and out this round drum was a nozzle, and then went inside the ground. And I was like, "What is this?" He goes, "Man, we are repairing pipes without having to dig up the ground. It's called trenchless pipe repair." And it just went off in my head. So then I went straight from my marketing firm to a focused trenchless sewer repair marketing firm called Trenchless Marketing. And Trenchless Marketing, I also own Trenchless Marketing and No Dig, the world's largest sewer repair directory. And that was all born from Trenchless. So, that was great because nobody really understood it. And we had one heck of a run. And I think, we written more content, more 3D videos, you name it, on all things trenchless, explaining the process, whether it's water lines, pipe bursting, epoxy resin, CIPP, the whole gamut. And then we got pretty popular in a span of 2 or 3 years. And then in 2013, I started real time marketing because I had electricians and HVAC. "Hey, if you do this for trenchless, could you do it for us?" And we could. So that was the birth of real time marketing. Was started with the trenchless pipe repair industry. This episode is brought to you by Blue Collar Business Advisors. If you're running an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, or landscaping, or any other type of home service business and wondering where all the money is going despite growing your revenue, you need to talk to Paul Maskill. Paul has scaled and sold multiple blue-collar businesses and now helps business owners improve cash flow, profitability, and financial clarity through outsourced CFO services. His clients gain a better understanding of their numbers, build predictable profits, and create a business that supports the life they actually want. One of the things I appreciate most about Paul is he's not just a finance guy. He's been in the trenches as an owner. He understands the challenges of running blue-collar businesses because he's done it himself. If you're doing a few $1,000,000 a year in revenue and want to stop guessing at your numbers and start building real wealth, head over to bluecollaradvisors.com. That's thebluecollaradvisors.com and schedule a discovery call with Paul and his team. Blue Collar Business Advisors, helping blue-collar business owners build financially healthy companies and achieve permanent profitability. This episode is brought to you by Corberry Digital. If you own an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, or home service business and you're tired of wondering where your next lead is coming from, you need to check out Corberry Digital. Corberry specializes exclusively in helping home service companies dominate their local markets through SEO, Google Ads, local service ads, websites, content marketing, and lead generation systems that actually produce a measurable ROI. Their team doesn't just focus on clicks and impressions. They help contractors lower customer acquisition costs, increase qualified leads, and build a marketing engine that scales. What I like about Corberry is they understand the blue collar space. They aren't trying to be everything to everyone. Their entire focus is helping trades businesses win in their backyard and generate more profitable jobs. If you're looking to grow your business, improve your online visibility, and build a marketing system that works, visit Corberry.com and schedule a strategy session with their team. That's Corberry.com. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. It's so interesting with marketing agencies, Matt. I find that there's so many of them, and it's rare. It's either it's a love-hate relationship. There's no like lukewarm. Like the contractor or the business owner either loves his marketing agency or hates it, but there's never an in between. Why is there this like
why has there been this explosion of agencies, and why is it so hard to find a good one?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to some of my friends, and a little, the people that know me a little, if I could acquiesce, I also own a 503 compounding peptide pharmacy in Florida, and the peptides have grown, and it's just been one heck of a journey. And I was talking to my friends at dinner, and they asked me about, kind of what you're asking me about marketing, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, there's no way on God's green earth I would start a digital marketing firm today. Right? It's way, way too saturated, way too many gurus, and God bless them all. When I got in, there wasn't that many. I was able to, work with a lot of clients and word of mouth and all the things, right? But the difference nowadays, I mean, and AI helps a lot, and we're all trying to navigate AI, but transparency early on was the success of my firm, meaning that everything that we did for our clients reporting wise, and back in the old days, it was sending emails and going over these reports. But when you are completely transparent with your clients and you give good service, you really do stand apart. Nowadays, everybody's all about automation, automation and claiming that they're too busy to get with their clients, and the clients that they don't get on a phone call, and now you just have reports going back and forth and hoping that they read it. And then they have these insane contracts where they hold your digital marketing hostage until you complete the contract. That's a short-lived version of a good relationship. When I talk to my clients, and if you're talking to my clients, one of the things that I say over and over again, a good relationship's like a marriage. You're going to have pain points, but a good relationship is just not the marketing firm bringing leads. It's also the contractor having a staff or having office staff that can get on the call and talk about what's going on, so you can have that communication. So it's just not the marketing company. You need to have a really good relationship with both people on both sides of the fence for it to be fruitful.
This episode is brought to you by Jonathan Keim and the teams at 360 Commercial Roofing and Top Roof Marketing. If you own or manage commercial property, or you're a roofing contractor looking to grow, Jonathan has spent more than a decade helping businesses protect their buildings and scale through proven commercial roofing and marketing systems. His companies specialize in commercial roofing solutions, roof asset management, and marketing built specifically for the roofing industry. Whether you need a trusted commercial roofing partner or want to generate more qualified roofing leads, check out 360 Commercial Roofing or Top Roof Marketing. You can go to www.360, like 360, commercialroofing.com, and Top Roof Marketing, www.toproofmarketing.com. What do you think is an opportunity right now? Obviously, Google, it seems to be kind of the king, right? But what's an opportunity right now? Where do you feel like the space is shifting?
Well, our focus for quite some time is speed to lead. And your viewers probably understand that, and if they don't, it's simple. It's how quickly, if you engage with the customer first, you have a 78% chance of gaining their business. But the problem is, over the years, and let's talk pre AI, we would have our clients, our contractors, and we look at their messaging, whether it's Facebook or social media, even contact forms. They would go days or hours or days or weeks without returning that touch point. So we wanted to close that gap. So now, my firm, especially with Unified 360, it's all integrated and with speed to lead with AI. So they make that first touch point usually within a minute, and they start to engage intelligently with that client. And then we take them into a booking scenario where we can get them booked on their calendar. So that's really important. So I think the future, everybody has to offer some sort of speed to lead. You have to be more efficient, whether or not you're a small, contractor with two or three, installers, or a large one. If you're not reaching out and booking those jobs quickly, they're going to be calling two to three more, contractors to get that service booked as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the different other things you're working on. So you have the AI service as well, the peptide pharmacy. What are some of the
Yeah.
various enterprises you're running right now?
Well, I mean, mainly real-time marketing. That's something I've been with for a very long time, and we are incorporating a lot of AI with that. With real-time marketing, we have a focus on local service ads. Um, Also, Unified 360, right, which is really AI enabled for reviews, all messaging into an omni-channel inbox. Also, LSA automation and social media automation as well. Nodig.com, which again, getting back to my heritage of trenchless marketing, it's just a really large nationwide sewer directory. That's always been fun. It's kind of been my baby on the back burner. I don't do too much with it. I probably should. Peptides and training um, clinics on how to administer peptides has just been a strange journey and one that I really enjoy. So that's pretty much what I do and what I focus on nowadays.
What takes up most of your brain space every day? I mean, every time I talk to a cereal guy, like what are you when you wake up? Is it just does it depend on the day, or
Uh-huh.
how does that work?
Are you asking me what I work on day to day?
Yeah, like what takes up most like today? Like what took up most of your
Oh,
brain space in your meetings today?
well, right now with the FDA, with RFK Jr., they are talking about releasing 7 of the 14 peptides. So 503A pharmacies can start compounding them. You have the research only peptides, which is kind of the gray market, which is, cool, right? But if we can better regulate them in the US, but the FDA said there's not enough research or too dangerous, the whole narrative. Well, right now, as you and I are talking, they're having a meeting and I believe they're going to release 7 of the 14 peptides from BPC, epithalon, KPV, CJC, and a few others that 503As can start making them and start not only making them but selling them, which is going to be it's going to be a bonanza. You're going to see a lot of people moving to the 503A compounding for pharmacy for purity and peace of mind.
Yeah, I know my buddy was swear he told me to look up retatrutide, and I remember I went into the local men's clinic that I go to here in Cherry Creek, Colorado, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't do that. It's not technically legal." And so I
Yeah,
found some online pharmacy that made me sign up as a researcher to
yeah.
get the retatrutide. So is that what you're talking about? Like that will then be released and it could be above board?
Yeah, it's the gray area. People, I mean, there are clinics that sell research only if they claim to be research only, and it's such a bizarre gray area, right? Because there's good, research only. You can back it up with a COA. One of the top places you can get the peptide tested would be Vanguard. So Vanguard would test them, and they would test, the purity and the sterility, and you can have a really good peptide. But the regulations and how you get it out to the marketplace differs, not just differs, but differs from state to state. So it just requires a little more thought, but having it moved to be able to make in a 503A compounding pharmacy legally is going to help out quite a bit. Now, what's going to happen? The prices will go up. That's just the nature of the beast. But look, peptides work, right? They do. You're talking about retatrutide. Retatrutide, or a GLP-3 is what they call it because they want to change the name. Eli Lilly's all over retatrutide. I think I'll give it 12 months that we can play with it before they shut it down like they have the GLP-2 or the tirzepatide. But you know, having a peptide that's backed up by a pharmacy, it's going to give a lot of clinics peace of mind and clarity that they can prescribe these and people can take them, and it
Yeah.
works. And retatrutide is probably, I would suspect in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 45% of our obese population will be on some sort of a GLP-3 because it works. It knocks down cancer. I can't. I'm not selling it here, so I'm not making any claims. But hey, I can tell you that it works and works really, really well.
Is it is it a crowded space? Like is because it's kind of like what an emerging space. So do
Mhm.
you feel like similar to marketing agencies, does it feel crowded or does it feel still pretty
Yeah.
wide open?
So I'm really big on early adoption, and I try to keep my finger on the pulse. But when I saw the growth of the wellness space, it was startling, and I don't have to talk about it because everyone sees it, right? What we did, with our company, and it's called LBS Pro Advanced. We developed a brand, created a educational platform that doesn't sell peptides called Precision Practice Mastery. And then you get a certification if you're a clinic. We offer all the training. We back it up with the peptide pulse with Dr. Adam Boonder. He's a well-known, expert in the space of peptides. And then we have the LBS Pro Advanced that allows us to engage and sell product. So you have in this industry, what we try to avoid are the gunslingers. And they're the ones that will just go to a US warehouse where the peptides are shipped. They'll grab as much product that they can. They slap their label on it and they just start slinging product. We never wanted to do that. And even with our marketing firm, it's, whether we're trying to report in a transparency type of scenario for our clients or peptides, we're going to train them and we want to build a brand on education so that we stand apart and that we are a premium. But I get it why there are a lot of people out there slinging peptides because it's a cash cow and people are making a lot of money quickly. But there are risks. And I would tell people, do it the right way. Don't cut corners, focus on education, and do your peptides that way
Yeah.
for sure.
I know when we first hopped on the podcast, it sounded like faith is a pretty important part of what you do. So let's talk about, faith for a second. What you said that initially the Builder's Bible kind of struck you. What faith journey are you on, or talk about your faith journey?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I put my faith out there. I'm Christ first in everything. Jesus is the head of our family, the head of my companies, the head of my businesses. I put Christ first in everything I do. And I think I made reference to that video that I did, putting a Bible into my foundation, and the world lost their mind. And I think we had at one time 78 million views, and Facebook said it was in our top 0.01% of most viewed videos in the history of Facebook or Reels. And I wasn't that guy. It was a 24-second clip. And I just put my faith out there. And a lot of times over the years, especially early on, I'd have my contemporaries reach out and say, Matt, you probably shouldn't do that. Or you're going to push away people. I never cared. Like, this is who I am. I love Jesus. And I can tell you in 2024, 25, 26, man, I see these young men and women just on fire for Jesus. I see these universities having all week or all weekend, revivals that are spontaneous. Christ is moving in our cities. And it's just so refreshing. Today it's easier for me to talk about Jesus, but early on, you're talking 2008, 2009, 2010, starting a marketing firm in Los Angeles and talking about Jesus. It wasn't too popular, but it's changed quite a bit. But I said, this is who I am. I love Jesus. We can have a great relationship. And if you don't love Jesus, and if you think I'm a wackadoodle, then I still love you. I'll pray for you, but we don't have to work together. And I wish you all the best. And I kind of just stayed on that line my whole professional career. And by the grace of God, it's worked out really well. He's blessed us beyond measure. And what that means is my wife and I, and all of our giving that we do is private, it's between us and God. I can tell you that we give. I won't tell you about specificities, but it allows us to give to the kingdom in ways with boots on the ground, people that we meet, and we just really try to help people and then bless them in the name of Jesus, and that's just who we are. So
Yeah, I love that, man. As I think it was Billy Graham that said the next big movement of God is coming in the marketplace, and I would say over the last year of interviewing blue collar guys, I think it's coming in the blue collar marketplace.
yeah,
And
it's so exciting. Praise God.
it is, man. I went to something called Rise Up Kings, and it was probably 2 years ago now that I went through Rise Up Kings. And dude, changed my life, saved my marriage, put me back on a
Yeah,
path. And there's literally thousands and thousands of these guys that have gone through this program. They're all building something. They're all like in construction. They're all HVAC. They're all, and as I interview guys in their shops, I'm like, dude, you have a church right there. Like, you don't
yeah,
need to go to seminary. You don't need your MDiv. Like, you could literally be baptizing people. You could, and like a lot of times they need to be empowered. They need to know they're a spiritual leader. They have the Holy Spirit, and
amen.
that God can use them. And I think that the single greatest opportunity to expand God's kingdom is through the marketplace, putting food on the table. You're interacting with people 5, 6 days a week. right? So anybody that's building the kingdom through business, I'm in. You know, I'm in.
Yeah,
So
that's your natural rhythm, right? We don't, I mean, I got I send my children on mission trips and they're young and they love it, but we have a natural daily rhythm, whether you're buying coffee from the lady at your local coffee shop or going to a grocery store or going to your employees or whatever the case may be, you have it right there. And that natural rhythm, you mentioned church, but you do all things in Christ and, understanding what Christ did on the cross. And I still struggle with that. And I was listening to a podcast about the only way to get into heaven is to believe, the non-works thing that we've talked about ad nauseum. But when we really think about what Christ did on the cross and how he said it is finished, it allows us to be free in everything that we do. And we hope that people see in us a change that they want to be a part of because it's the most, as you know, in your journey, it's the only thing that satisfies us and it makes our relationships better. It makes our marriages better. It makes us better fathers. It makes us better neighbors because we have Christ living in us. So we want to share that love.
yeah, there's always another level of freedom that you can step into, and I think that's one thing. Paul says in Galatians 5:1 is for freedom that Christ has set us free. And I initially was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. But then you start to understand the different layers of freedom that the Holy Spirit can bring you in your marriage and your personal
Yeah.
walk and your relationships and your finances. There's always an opportunity to be set free from something that is weighing you down. Yeah.
And it can make us fierce. Like if God has us and he says, if I have you, who can pluck you from my hand? When you start to realize that, not only are you free, but you can be fierce. You can live a wonderful life and take advantage of all the fruits of the spirits that's bestowed upon you. And it's just great. And I see it too with my clients. I have clients that reach out whether they're asking to pray for them or they'll say things, Matt, I've followed you for years. You're a believer. And Christians, we're not perfect. We try to tell people, hey, look, I'm a sinner. I am busted up. I am broken. But, we try to follow the letter of the law, be honorable in how we deal with others. And it doesn't always work, but we have that baseline. So it's great. And I'm able to have great relationships with my clients over the years, and they're big believers, and we're able to approach each other in a way that brothers would approach each other in Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad I dropped out of seminary to start a business. That's how I always think about it. It's like, man, my years in
Yeah.
seminary, like it was amazing, but gosh, it felt like it was preparing me to be on defense, not offense. And I like offense. So
Yeah.
yeah. What's one thing we haven't talked about today that you get excited about or get fired up about?
Oh, well, you know, you've covered it in the past. I mean, the biggest disruptor right now is AI. I mean, it's just I'm immersed in it. One of I guess I would call her my mentor, but Jennifer Bagley with the CI Web Group. I mean, there's nobody in the world who is out front as far as she is in disrupting home service marketing. If anyone doesn't, if you don't know who she is, get to know her because she created the Hydra operating system. She has created marketing, advanced marketing, because we're talking about legacy search and the connective tissue between AI recommendation. Now we know AI recommendation over the last 2 to 4 months has gobbled up 40% of Google's search share. That's never
Mm,
happened. It's the biggest disruption ever. Google is now on board, and I would be surprised a year from now if we're going to have even a search bar because it has so disrupted how we change. And I was telling my son, you know, he uses AI to get his information. And I was saying, I used to go to Google and put in a keyword and do research for the top 10 links and try to find that information that you're finding at your fingertips. It's disruptive and then it never go back. But getting back to Jennifer, she's amazing because she has taken the whole digital marketing system and made it fully agentic. And no one's done that. And she's one to watch. And she has motivated me to challenge me to take my Unified 360 and make it fully agentic as well. So I want to, and that's not to say we don't have human guardrails and oversight because you always have to have that. But at the same time, it's crazy where it's at. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go in the future because it's changing, as you know, it's changing so very, very fast.
Yeah, I'm curious to pick your brain on that for just a second. It's interesting to me. When I talk to blue collar guys, the AI, it's like, oh yeah, I use AI, and I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, I talk to chat. I'm like, okay, so that's yes, you're talking with a large language model, but do you have AI doing anything for you? Like, is it operating agentically in your business? Is it processing paperwork, or is it doing the speed to lead? You mentioned speed to lead. Like, I think the guys over at Chirp are doing something really cool with their
Yeah,
tool, and speed to lead.
right.
So I think right now, like, of all the people I've talked to, if you have something, if AI is functioning as an employee in your business, I think that you are kind of with it. But then I'll talk to people that are brilliant and they're like, yeah, I have like 80 AI agents running in the background of my business, and everything in
Right.
between. So I'm just curious to hear, you have a 30,000 foot view. Like, where do you think
Yeah.
it's going?
Yeah, I think if you have an AI agent in your business, and whether or not you're self-hosting or whatever the case may be, that's another conversation for another time. But if you have an AI agent in your business and it's doing one specific role, you allow it to do that role without adding in other agents because they can overcomplicate it. So you have each AI agent has their own lane or their own responsibility. And then over and above that, for efficiency, you can have a supervisor type of AI agent that oversees everything that everyone's doing. And it allows for more efficiencies and fixes and things in real time that lessens mistakes. So, and the guys that say, well, I use chat or Claude or whatever, I applaud them as well, as long as you're trying to, because the people who don't adopt, the speed in which the market's changing, if you're not looking into AI, if you're not adopting into AI, you're going to be left behind. And then it's going to be really, really, really hard to get caught up. And, I talk to my clients about this new, frontier. A lot of my clients come to me and they're mad. I'm scared. I'm afraid. I'm this, I'm that. And I would tell them, look, you should be the opposite. You should be excited because never has there been an opportunity in the history of online marketing since the .com where you can now gain market share against these other big companies that have dominated for so long by making some small adjustments with AI that get you back in the forefront of the consumer's mind. So there is an opportunity, and the cost to do so is less than it's going to be 6 months from now, than it's going to be a year from now. So it's going to be an interesting watch how people adapt. There's going to be people that are going to excel, and there's going to be people who are going to not excel. So
Yeah. I love it. Well, Matt, like, such an honor to have you on the show. Where can people go to find out more about who you are and what you do?
yeah, go to one of my websites, Matt at realtimemarketing.com is my email. That's my primary email. If you have any questions or anybody wants to ask more questions or go into more detail, whether it's marketing or AI, I'm always available, or peptides for that matter, because we do quite a bit. But yeah, Matt at realtimemarketing.com. I'd be happy to engage with anyone who reaches out.
I love it, Matt. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking, but thanks for coming on the show.